Today, Junior?
Raw Mike Richards, brought to you by Bell Lifestyle Products. Also streaming live on saga960.ca. And now, from the Bell Lifestyle Studio, here's Mike.
It is 8:40 News Talk, Saga 960, Raw Mike Richards, as we strive to find ways to make ourselves healthier. Strive, I'm saying. I'm using the word strive, and it's only a Monday. What's going on? That's when you come back refreshed from holidays. This is rare for me. So I'm enjoying it, but I enjoy even more when our good friend Bal Chhoker is going to join us, because Bal knows everything. Is that true? Is that fair to say?
Everything that you don't need to know, probably. How are you, Mike?
I'm great to see you. It's been way too long. We love our chats. Yeah.
You know what? I would have seen you 2 weeks ago, but I at the 11th hour, I get a little email. He's gone on vacation.
Yeah.
Well, and I said, you know what? Why don't I just do the whole show anyways?
Well, hey, you want to step in? You let me know. You're more than welcome. Yeah, it was. I don't get holidays often, so that was pretty exciting. And see, well, you know what, and it gets down to kind of what we're going to talk about today, which is trying to give your body a break, and if you can do it naturally, especially when it comes to pain and inflammation, which is something once for someone like myself who did a ton of sports, but that's not necessarily the reason that we're talking about this, but. We had done and did a commercial for Inflamex. And very often, if you're someone like myself in the media, they're like, okay, so I see it. So you're getting paid by someone. All of a sudden, you come up with the miracle answer. I said, well, look, I'll be honest. It would be very hard for me to join something and be kind of had the career I have where I, the reason it's called raw is just because we're just very honest. I'm not trying to shock people. It's not raw what the raw part means. It means I'm just going to tell you the truth. And that's why doing the Inflamex ads, those spots, was the easiest thing in the world, because I was stunned. And of course, you have to remember with the operations that I've been through. So it started 7 years ago when I was diagnosed with colorectal cancer. And so just coming up to last July, that was my last kind of official, and it had to do with things sort of on the front side, the stomach side. So that was 7 years. That's finally over. I am not only cancer free, but now I'm back to the shape that I most people knew me as, certainly going back to almost the 90s. But when I had put on some weight, Bal. There was a herniated stoma, right? So when you have an ostomy bag, it started to do all kinds of crazy things with my body. But one of it was weight gain and parts of that were just so much larger than I was used to, because I'm basically a small frame guy. So I'm now, after you see me today, I'm almost 40 pounds lighter than we last talked. Believe it or not.
I was going to say exactly.
Yeah.
You know what? There's been, and that's how long. Unfortunately, that's how long I've been here.
Yes,
and there's a big difference. Absolutely.
So that takes a lot of what I was feeling in my joints, especially the knees, where I'm like, geez, I'm really having some difficulty. But I shouldn't have been. That's a huge weight for me. But there was a reason for it. Inflamex. I used it once, and within. Like, it happened relatively quickly. Look, it's not a miracle. We're talking about miracle pills, but this is why, as people should know, if they don't, Bal is also an educator when it comes to this area, and a very good one. Why is Inflamex so effective in relieving that inflammation and pain?
You know what? We're going to talk about a couple of products on this stuff, but that's actually the main product I want to talk about. The Inflamex is... it's actually dealing with the whole concept of inflammation and pain, not just stopping it or putting a Band-Aid on it like we would do with most, let's say, over-the-counter medication that, we run to in an emergency. And there's nothing wrong with that, but having something that's going to deal with all aspects of it, which is where the pain actually starts, trying to stop that process in the body, and then dealing with the acute pain that we all get here and there. And it doesn't matter if it's elderly like us, and we'll call ourselves elderly, don't worry, because there's teenagers playing sports. And, you talk a lot about sports, and we just talked about, the World Juniors here. They all get aches and pains too. And so that acute stuff is there too. And then on top of it, which is, I think, one of the most important things, the third concept in Inflamex is what we call the antioxidants. We always think antioxidants, anti-aging, but it's actually about really cleaning up the whole junk in what we got in our body just so we can get pain-free faster, all right, and get the healing going. And I think that's actually the bigger thing, which is trying to get the healing going with all of this, right? So I think that's one of those, in a nutshell, it's those three things, right? Stopping it where it starts, stopping the actual pain, so your pain relief immediately, and that's how you see the quick results with this thing, and then cleaning up all the debris so you heal faster. Yeah.
Well, with the product, which is, by the way, is number 70 Inflamex, they go by the numbers at Bell, which makes it incredibly easy, which is why it's not hard to find. But the ingredients themselves that are so effective, what would it be in terms of inflammation? What is in it that makes this so effective?
Before I go there, I want to tell you why we're actually talking about this. And this
Okay.
is the fact that, over 6 million Canadians deal with arthritis. All right. And this is one of the biggest things. And you're one of them. All right. This is, playing sports, what it feels to have everything hurt, as we'll say. Kids will talk about a joint or this and that, but we talk about everything being hurt once we get up in the morning, all the joints and pains, tendons, ligaments, everything. And this thing here has got, again, it's got one of the key things, the turmeric that we all know of. And Bell has got a turmeric product by itself, curcumin 2000, if somebody just needs that real quick pain relief. But this guy here with the boswellia, the turmeric in there, the ginger in there, those are just your key anti-inflammatories, the ones that are helping that more immediate. But then this, that's what is scientifically COX-2 inhibitor. But you know what? We don't care about that. And then there's that other part of the pain starting. This is where these very potent skullcap, holy basil hops, they do a great job of dealing down at the cell level of reducing that inflammation process. And then, of course, these circulatory tonics, rosemary, resveratrol, grapeseed, these are actually all very potent at cleaning up the system, so the healing goes through much faster. But again, turmeric, and we all know turmeric, curcumin as it's the active components known, boswellia, which is frankincense, ginger, those are the key ingredients that we are all familiar with that are going to help with the pain relief.
Now, when people are listening to this, and I say this very often because sometimes there's this feeling, and you see it on infomercials, you get that feeling all the time, like they are trying to sell you this a miracle cure. This is a miracle pill, like this feeling like something is so extraordinary, which is why you spend, and I'll be honest, a lot of times on the television stuff, it's American and it's really expensive. It is nuts. But that's not what we're saying. This is not a miracle cure. This is something that's effective because it works in the functions of your body naturally, and that's a huge difference than just saying, talk about something that's pharmaceutical, where it's something you go out immediately. This is like more of a program, would you not say, for your body? How would you describe it?
What, there's actually two parts. When anybody gets injured, or we're talking about arthritis, we feel the aches and pains, we feel the restriction in the movement and everything like that, right? It doesn't matter if you're just rolling out of bed, whatever it is. But there's always two things to it, because this has actually happened over our lifetime, you can say, of neglect and abuse. And we all do that because when we're young, we don't think anything's going to happen to us, right? So I'm pretty sure you're one of those. Well, you are one of those. We know that. All right. So it's one of those things that years, the pounding that the body took, the wear and tear that happens, right? You have to now do this thing of, let's stop the pain, let's help the healing, but we also have to rebuild. And this is why the program that you say, this isn't going to happen overnight, not by any means. Hey man, if you're lucky, within a week, you might start to feel something. This isn't going to be instantaneous by any means, but the longer you take it, you're going to see less and less and less of that pain, restriction, the tightness, the aches, everything like that. But that's why I also say there's a rebuilding side of this too. All right. If you want to do this right, their number one product, I think we all know of, is the Bal Chhoker cartilage, right? That joint relief, it's called now, has to come in as a rebuilder, so that we can get, everybody knows of glucosamine. Everybody has probably tried glucosamine. There's chondroitin and glucosamine and shark cartilage. That rebuilder that we need, all right, should be part of this thing. So we need the double concept here to basically repair the body over the years of neglect. Basically, all we're doing is feeding what it needs at the end of the day, so we can get the repair happening.
And that's a great way of putting it. I mean, that sort of, crystallizes everything that you've been, building up to into what it does. Now, I should also tell you that for people who, listen to Bell Lifestyle Products, of course, sponsor the show, the sponsor of the studio, but it was all based on, and my good friend Tim Allen, when he first comes to me, said, a guy who started this company, it was shark cartilage. And of course, when you're not in that world, I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, how, what was he, wrestling sharks and somehow bit into it and it made him, like, how would you even come to the conclusion that this would be the thing that to build a company upon? And yet here we are all these years later, and the foundation still is shark cartilage.
It is. It definitely is. At the end of the day, when, as I said, we got over 6 million Canadians with arthritis. Osteo, the main one, is over 3.5. But the worst thing is, and we're hitting there, Mike, we're not there yet, but you're already part of the stat. And this is, once you hit 60, 50% of the population has got arthritis. And I think that this is where the founder came along, and, he's having the issues, and shark cartilage comes along. And shark cartilage, that we talk about, really, it is the basics of glucosamine and chondroitin, but it's a whole natural structure that's easily utilized by the body. And, and people are wondering, where do we get this thing? It's actually a byproduct of the food industry. It's from the shark fins. When they actually process that, it gives us the basic building blocks of our joints. All right. Very simple. And so now we get the flexibility, the cushioning back, as they say, within the knees and the hips and the joints, all of them, right? And we're getting that cushioning back, but that takes time. All right. I don't want anybody to think that, take a bottle of this and no, this is more of an ongoing process. It's years into work that created this. It's going to be months and years to actually get it all back, to get you back close to where you were. You might not get there, but believe me, it'll get you close enough that you're moving. And one of the biggest things that affects people is that when you are not mobile anymore, you are used to doing this and that, getting in the car, going here, going there, going for your bike ride, whatever it is. And now if you can't even do that, oh boy, there's a problem, right? And that's when people start hitting this. Now they notice this quickly with the two combined. You'll get the pain reduction happening and get the rebuilding happening over the months and, even years. If it is, you're going to see a new person when they start taking this thing.
Oh, it's so well said. And it's kind of why I said at the top that we're talking about a program as opposed to popping a pill and then you go out and ride a bike. And I'll give you an interesting story about the difference between certain adjectives and the word program. I had Marv Levy, the famous head coach of the Buffalo Bills, on. Marv comes on. Marv, like you just don't mess around with Marv, right? He's got the. Yeah. So I said, what happens with the Buffalo Bills, and you go to Super Bowls and you lose, but in essence, when I look at those 4 years of what you did, is you built a program as opposed to a one-off.
That's right.
I love that. You're right. That is a program, and it's because what we're saying is, it's not just popping a pill or having something immediately successful, which is like a team that comes out of the blue and wins and then fades away again. We're talking about something that takes time to build. And if you build it, it will stay. It's something that has some longevity to it.
The foundation, exactly. You have to have a good foundation. And once you get that built, then, the thing is, the whole purpose of, protocol, what the practitioners use, a program, what we're talking about here. At the end of the day, if you do this right, you might be doing high dosages at the beginning, but the whole goal is to cut back everything you're doing so your lifestyle will take over. Like, for example, that the shark cartilage, the joint relief, you're supposed to take 12 capsules a day. That's a lot.
Yeah,
it is a lot. 12 capsules a day. And you need to do this for a good couple of months just to start to see something happening. But you're not going to do 12 capsules ongoing. It's going to come down to 6. It's going to come down to possibly 2. Where the Inflamex, same thing. You might be starting off at 4 if you're in severe pain, but you might be down to 1. All right, after a couple of months, and that maintenance starts to happen, and you see the changes. But it takes time, 100%, because it didn't happen overnight. I think this is what people need to realize: aches and pains didn't happen overnight. Yeah.
And the other thing too about that, as you mentioned, is that the amount of time it took to, to put your body into that state doesn't mean it's going to be then just, a flick of the wrist and all of a sudden you're back doing it. And the other aspect is, and you've talked about it, it's your own understanding of physical fitness, which means you're not just taking the stuff, sitting back and then watching the Family Feud. You actually have to do something.
No, it doesn't matter how you do this. If you have to have movement in the body, the purpose of your movement, exercise to allow for this to happen is to get circulation going. It doesn't matter if it's, if you're in pain, something's broken, you can still work other parts. Like I got a 15-year-old kid who's playing basketball on 2, sometimes 3 teams. All right. And he's always injured. I actually took him out for the last 4 months. He took himself out, really. He knows his body, and he took himself out and just recouped. You don't know the supplements this kid's on. It's crazy, but the dedication to get back to where he wants to, so he doesn't end up like we are. It's crazy. He is doing all of this stuff just to build back up at 15 years old because of the injuries he's already had, so that in the next in 4 months, all right, this is the thing, 4 months, just so he can get back in September to where he needs to be.
Yeah, no, great lesson and certainly understood here. Bal, we got to get you on more often though, and I promise I won't go on holidays anymore.
If you don't go on holidays, exactly.
Yeah. Or if I go on holidays, you come with me. That's the deal. I take holidays, you come with me.
Listen, I've never been on one, so why not?
Oh, my friend, you did a great job. I just knew I was looking forward to this because this is fantastic stuff. But really,
always good.
I'm certainly putting this will go out on Twitter today, but I'm putting the full interview. I mean, usually I put like a clip down, but I really think people need to understand from beginning to end. There's so much information, and the questions, quite frankly, especially when it comes to Inflamex, they want to take this pill or in their head, these pills, and all of a sudden they're back lifting weights or whatever. But I think your explanation of the program itself and then how jointly it comes in. So just so you know, and those listening today, this will go on Twitter so you can see the whole thing. I'll have it on a YouTube clip and you can watch the whole interview because I really think it's important. So thank you so much for this morning. Appreciate it. And hopefully we'll talk to you again real soon.
Always good to be here, Mike. Okay. Have a good day.
That is Bal Chhoker joining us here, talking about the Bal Lifestyle products. Just outstanding stuff here today. We're going to